Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
On today's episode of Business Coaching Secrets, we have never before released recordings where Karl guarantees to solve any business coaching problem on the spot.
Hey. Hope everybody's doing good. Karl Bryan coming at ya. Honor to be here and appreciate everybody. I have got my esteemed business partner, legend, marketing whiz, Mr. Adrian Olsch with me. Adrian, you there, brother?
I am, Karl. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day.
They are too, buddy. I think before we get into questions, I think we should open up some lines. I want to make sure that everybody can see my screen. So here's what guys, real quick. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to stop something. Just give me 2 secs here, folks. I'm going to open up a couple lines. I want to make sure you guys can hear me okay, hear Adrian okay, and you can see my screen. When I hit you guys, you're probably going to be on mute. So you're going to need to unmute yourself. So who's at the top here? Al Smith, we're coming for you, buddy. Oh, I think I accidentally opened Adrian, but that's okay. Adrian Sassine, are you there? Adrian, trying to open you up. You're self-muted. The board is jumping around because I get a lot of folks coming in. Okay, Adrian, either being shy or can't find his mute. Al Smith, we're coming for you. Got to unmute yourself, my friend. I want to make sure that you can see my screen. You can hear my voice. Al Smith, sticking in the A's. Okay, Al Smith, you're not opening up there, buddy. Aaron Hale, we're coming for you. You are self-muted as well. You got to unmute yourself. What's going on here, Adrian? There we go. Aaron, we got a voice. Somebody's out there. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Fabulous. Can you see my screen? Can you see some?
Some
software there, and you can hear my nasally voice. Say again.
I got a little bit excited when I saw that.
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to hear, man. Excitement. That's what we're here for. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool, Aaron. I appreciate it, man. I'm going to put you back on mute, and I think actually Al did end up opening up. So Al, we're going to come back, giving you the time to unmute yourself. So Al Smith, unmute yourself there, buddy, if you could. Oh, maybe he's going to be shy. That's okay. Tell you what, folks, we got just hang on. We need a female. We need a little bit of female magic. So my buddy Allison McLeod. I wish this board would stop jumping. Allison McLeod. Give us a little bit of female magic, if you would. How about Ann Tanner? Ann Tanner's right there. Ann, we're going to open up you. Oh, here we go. Allison is live. Hey, Allison, how you doing?
I am great. How are you, Karl?
Fabulous. Good to have you here. You can hear us. You can see the screen. You ready to go?
Okay, I'm ready to go.
That's awesome. You going to have a question for me later?
I certainly will.
You will? Okay, that's what I want to hear. Okay, cool. Okay, Allison, I'm going to put you back on mute. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to get this show on the road. And Adrian, just before we get started, Adrian, you're good to man the board for us, buddy? All good?
Yep, I'm monitoring the chat.
Okay, so before I do that, I might just say, so guys, scoop is, as you guys know, I'm here to answer some questions. We're going to do a Q&A, go back and forth, yada. If you guys have a question, if you can go into the chat box, I would imagine as you're looking at your screen right now, if you just kind of look to the right, you're going to see it there. So plunk your answer in. If you want to be live, just do us a favor, in capitals, put live beside your question. So then we'll open you up and be live. In order to do so, you've got to have microphone or phone going. So be sure. So if we're going to open you up, be sure if you can be Johnny on the spot and hit the unmute button quickly so that we can keep rolling. I want to answer as many questions as I possibly can. So be doing that. So chuck your questions in the box. If you want to just raise your hand, I suppose you can just raise your hand as well. Too easy. and let's get this show on the road. Again, we're scheduled for an hour. We might go a little bit over, but let's get this thing rocking. I may be turning this into a presentation, so I'm just very quickly going to stop my recording, and then I'm going to open this thing up. Give me one sec, folks. Hey. Karl Bryan coming at you. Thanks so much for being here, guys, and welcome to my presentation where I guarantee to solve any business coaching problem on the spot. Absolutely appreciate you guys being here. In fact, I'm honored to have you guys being here. And some of you are wondering, what the heck is this going to be all about? Others have shown up and said, I'm going to put this short guy into his place. And that's absolutely fine because I got a couple of emails that reflect exactly that, and I'm okay with it. But I do guarantee you guys, I'm not going to let you down here. I got a lot of experience in business coaching. I've been around the block. Some of you may follow me. Some of you may not. I've got the #1 magazine in business coaching. I got the #1 podcast in business coaching. I get the #1 software, which I think you guys are now presently looking at. I get the #1 email list with over 100,000 business coaches and what I believe to be the #1 company in the space. And again, I have my esteemed colleague, my business partner, my best friends on this planet. I refer to him as a brother. Mr. Adrian Olsch is with me. Adrian, are you there?
I'm here, guys. How's everybody doing today?
We're all doing fabulous, I think. I tell you what, we're going to open up some lines. So I'll tell you what, Adrian, we need some questions here. So I'm going to open up the box where we're going to go to. But
I think.
But yes, if you guys got a question, just
let me scan the board here real quick. I think somebody's got a question here. Yeah, it's John Sadeh.
Oh, well, there we go. Yo.
Guys, how are you guys doing today?
Doing fabulous, buddy. What's happening, man? I know this voice. What's going on, and how can we help you? What do you think?
Well, I got a few questions for you here, Karl. I'll throw this up here real fast.
A few questions. Hang on a minute. Remember, did we establish the rules before we started? Let's go we're going to go one at a time. We're going to see if we'll see how we go.
All right, we'll tell you okay. Joking one all aside, you keep talking about, is it really true you really don't have a belly button? I got to say.
Is that where we're starting? Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately, the answer would be correct. I do not have a belly button, folks. It was a horrific experience with some hernia surgery, and if you've ever seen me beside the pool, it's no fun, and kids go running. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Well,
we started this off well. Okay, let's rock.
All right. We'll start on a more serious question. Obviously, when I'm working with the clients, they're all talking about internet marketing, digital marketing, and not only for them but also for myself. It's not always my strong suit. Is there a way that you kind of explain it so you can sound intelligent enough that you can address their concerns, but also smart enough to direct them to what the real issue is, sometimes maybe around messaging or something like that, so they don't think digital marketing, internet marketing is going to solve all their problems?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like it. So, and I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So like, we're going in, we're about to do some business coaching, and your challenge is that you see the business owners are besotted with social media, internet marketing, and you got to try push them off it, right? But you want to be able to sound intelligent with it, like not like you're scared of it. You want to sound intelligent around it. So I got this right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me just make sure my screen. Okay. So, and some of you are listening to this on audio. I think possibly you're going to want to watch this via video, which I'm sure you'll be able to do on YouTube. Just a little FYI. Let me do this, John, real quick, man. This could go horrifically, and this could go amazing. Okay, let's see how this goes. I'm going to draw on my screen. Okay, so internet marketing. Okay, so if I wanted to encapsulate that, in fact, almost any concept, if you can kind of bring it down to 3. So let's okay, I'm going to do it this way. Oh, hang on a sec. Okay, so this is going to be input. Okay, poorly worded. Okay, and I'm going to start with your health. Okay, so that is you, and then this is output. Input, put chips, put dip, put salsa in your body. What's going to happen? Like, what is going to happen to your smiley face? And then the output is going to be what? A level of energy, a level of vitality, and anything else is going to go there. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward, right? So if I were to sit down with somebody and I were to try and explain internet marketing, I would do it fundamentally in the exact same way. So, and John, are you able to see my screen, by the way?
Yep. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got input. So this is the internet. Okay. So let's use our friends at Facebook just to make it nice and simple. Okay. In the exact same format, input, the modality, and then the output, right? So what do you go to, actually on the internet, they're looking for three things. So you need consistency, you need trust, and three, if you accomplish 1 and 2, you're going to get acceleration. So let me explain what I mean. Again, this is 30,000. We go a lot more in depth than this, but this is kind of what I think you're looking for here, like a 30,000 foot vantage point. So what do you put input? Okay, this is your profile, your fan page, your business page. You got to build your profile. What else are you going to input? You're going to put your budget. If you have a small budget or a large budget, this is going to factor. Remember, Facebook is a machine. It's not it doesn't have a mind where it can think, oh, maybe he got sick for a month. Okay. They don't see it that way. They're just looking for consistency. So what else are you going to put in there? You're going to put ads. You're definitely going to put posts, right? So these are the things that you're putting up, that kind of stuff. No doubt you can kind of get the sense you're inputting data into Facebook, right? So then on Facebook, okay, and by the way, think of this one as consistency. Now think of this one as trust. So when you put a post up and it gets lots of likes, it gets lots of comments, it gets time on screen. And in other words, you put a long post and then I spend the entire time reading it from top to bottom. Well, Facebook, this, and by the way, this is called engagement, actually. That's important, I guess. Engagement. So basically, you're getting a lot of action. So if you get a ton of comments and then you get comments with people that have a lot of friends that are connected to you, I mean, this is going to be a good thing, right? This is going to work. This is going to show a higher level of trust. Okay. And then acceleration, like we've all seen an ad that kind of sits there and lies dormant. And then we've seen something go viral. Okay. So think of that as acceleration. We talk about internally profit acceleration, digital acceleration. In fact, I'll show you that in a second. But acceleration. So then the output is going to be what? Okay. That's going to be your reach. Okay. So if something goes viral, it's got a massive amount of reach. And if it kind of lies dormant, it's got poor reach because it didn't have the trust, likes, comments, time. Right. So people within, people in that audience, aren't spending the time on it. So you got reach. You then have clicks, appointments, and then let's say, I don't know, sales. Actually, no, you know what? I got to take sales off because Facebook is not, we run into this all the time. Facebook's not designed to make sales for you. It's designed to make appointments. If you want to close coaching, don't try do it over the internet. Do not try do it via email. Don't do it in a private message. You close coaching on a phone call or one-to-one, toes to toes, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball with the prospect. So basically that would be like, yeah, George, I'm not sure. So does that answer your question? Like if I wanted to explain the internet, I would fundamentally explain it in this way. But what I would also do very importantly is I would kind of put something like this in front of them. Okay, ignore the fact that's so basically you got to explain. So see that step 1 through 5, leads, conversions, transactions, pricing, profits. They've got to make sure that they understand that the internet, social media is only in step number 1. So they would be crazy to poo-poo step 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is what I think, again, what you're finding, what we find, because everybody's besotted with lead generation. So I don't know. What do you think? Does that kind of give you a good phrase? You kind of see the way I break it into 3. Think input, and then whatever it is that you're trying to work out, and then output, including your health, Facebook, and, software would be the same, et cetera. Does that help?
Yeah, because they tend to look at just like, okay, I just need to have a Facebook page or I need to have leads, and they don't understand the strategy and where to kind of walk them through that piece.
It has to be part of a bigger strategy, and the strategy needs to be about profit, right? Like that's why we built profit acceleration software. In fact, I don't want to make this, but like if I just very quickly bring you back to our software, I was planning to do this more towards the end, but so we've just created digital acceleration software. Okay. So you see digital. So basically you're running a client through, what's your content marketing strategy, website optimization, email marketing, search engine optimization, advertising, social media, et cetera. So we've basically built exactly this so that you can walk any business through the overarching digital marketing strategy. So does that help? Is that good?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And okay, so you had one more. That took a little longer than probably planned. But give me your other one. Let's have a look.
Well, the other part is kind of once you actually get a lot of the leads, a lot of times, like you said, they focus on leads a lot of times, but we both know that, they need to have, and they'll go to their accountant for some advice, but accountants aren't necessarily finance managers. So what do you recommend when, as a coach, you're trying to talk to somebody about, talk to at a high level on accounting or finance? How do you recommend kind of approaching that? You understand the question?
Yeah. Okay. So just look, at the end of the day, so the language of business, would you agree? Like if you give me a room of 100 people and I say, what's the language of business? 100 hands will go up for sales and market, 80 hands will go up for sales and marketing. The real language of business is accounting. I think that's where you're like, no doubt, I'm guessing you'd agree with that. And then the challenge is that most people are totally, poop scared of it. So you want the same thing, like an overarching way to explain accounting to a client. Would that be right?
Correct.
Okay. What would we do here? Okay. So here's the mistake that people make is that they go to their accountant, they get a tax return, and then they refer to it as financials. I've got a pumpkin here. I could take a pumpkin and put it on my head. I could wear it as a hat, but that wouldn't make it true, if you know what I mean, right? So in other words, your tax returns are most definitely not financial statements. And by the way, this is something, and again, your clients, it's not only that they don't get financial statements, it's like they're poop scared of them. So you know what? I'm going to do 3 quick little demonstrations. I'm going to try to fly through this. Give me a sec here. Okay. So if you go to an accountant, there are a number of financial documents they'll be able to provide you, but there's really only 3 that you need to know. So I encourage you for everybody to kind of pay attention to this real quick. A balance sheet. No doubt you've heard of it, but you probably don't really understand the mechanics and how it works. Basically, what you've got is assets on this side, liabilities here, and then equity. The way I teach it, the way I like it, explain it, I want you to think of these as kids. I want you to think of your liabilities as teenagers, okay? And then your equity as adults, okay? Our goal is to take kids and turn back, not just adults, but functional adults, right? Because we've got some dog's breakfast out there. We don't want that. So real quick, like on your balance sheet, it's going to look like this. You've got cash, you've got accounts receivable, you've got inventory, power plant, and equipment, right? So you've got numbers here. And then this is going to come to, let's just say 100. Okay, now your teenagers, your liabilities. So I want you to think of your balance sheet as like a family photo. Okay, so again, you've got your teens, you get your kids, and then you've got your equity, but it's a moment in time. So as at October 1st, 2020. Okay, so it's not anything that's ongoing. It's a snapshot. It's a family photo. A period of time. So your teenagers, these are going to be accounts payable, notes payable, and taxes payable. Okay, so you've got your number here. So let's use that. Just say that's going to be 60 for our teenagers. Okay, making sense. And then equity, you've got shareholder investments. And I don't want to lose the guys. Don't get confused by all the flashy terminology here. It's really straightforward. And then your earnings, which are basically your net profit, right? So your profits are here. And then let's assume that would have to be 40, because what happens is you add the 60 and the 40. What do you get? 100. You add up all your assets. You got 100. What is it called? A balance sheet. These two need to balance. But what I really want you to understand there is that the goal of the balance sheet is to do exactly that, to balance. So we want to take these kids, which are assets, okay, the things that you're buying, your cars and whatnot, and you want to turn them into functional adults, which are really earnings, which are basically profits, right? So that's basically the first document. I'd have to go a little more in depth on that, but no doubt you kind of get the idea. And then the other one would be an income statement. Okay, an income statement looks a lot different, looks a little bit like this. You have got revenues. Hopefully you guys can read this. You've then got expenses, which are going to be X. And again, this is going to be a number. It's going to minus. And then you've got here what you normally referred to as your bottom line. And again, this is an income statement, or otherwise referred to as a profit and loss commonly. Okay, but these are going to be your numbers. Here's where folks mess this up. They go to bottom line, okay, and let's assume that the bottom line is going to be 4, okay? That's the profit. Well, if you had a company, let's say that their revenues were 10, and then their expenses were 6, their profits are 4, right? So that's one company. What if you had a company side by side and you're looking to coach them? Let's say that their revenues were 1,000, their expenses were 996, and then what would their profits be? Once again, 4, right? So no doubt you could see how these two businesses have got the same bottom line, but are horrifically different, right? Like this business would make me nervous big time because their margins are insanely sleek. And then, okay, I want you to think home movie, okay? So this would be, like January 1st, 2020, again, so it's a movie ongoing, to December 31st, 2020. So you see how, again, we refer to it as a home movie because we're taking the teenagers and the kids and we're watching them grow up. Like what is happening, basically it's a live, over a period of time. And this could be done monthly, this could be done quarterly, or this could be done annually, right? That photo. So the other one is an income statement. And then the third one, and again, I'm going to rip through this one real quick, but this would be a cash flow statement. I would dare say if you've got coaching clients, the chances of them having a cash flow statement would be minimum, 5% would be on the high side. Real quick, you have got operating cash. Okay, so this is cash that they bring in through the operations of the business, pretty straightforward. This is investment cash, okay, plus or minus. And then below that, you're going to have finance cash, plus or minus. Let's assume we got 100K of operating cash, 100K of investment cash, and 100K of finance cash. So this investment cash would be like a car, would be like real estate, and then finance would be, a loan from the bank. It would be you took on a business partner and he invested $100,000, and then you gave him a percentage of the company, or you're going to pay shareholders. Okay, you're going to pay out some dividends. That would come out of finance cash. Okay, so what I want you to take away from this, okay, is not a heck of a lot, apart from the only thing that really matters. Like if you sold a car, you see how you could make your company look really profitable one year, or you sold a piece of real estate. This could go up to $400,000, but are we going to be able to sell another piece of real estate next year for $400,000? And the answer is probably not. So what I really want to understand, what I would want to understand with my clients is this operating cash. So possibly a little more in depth than everybody was anticipating there. Or does that help, John? Did I kind of give you those are the 3 documents, right? You've got a balance sheet, you got an income statement or a profit and loss, and a cash flow statement. Again, you go to an accountant, they're renowned for confusing the hell out of you and using really, really big words that you can't understand and whatnot. It's really not that complicated in any way. So yeah, then I hope that gives you, that's a great question, by the way, but like a bird's eye view of, bird's eye view of accounting, man. What do you think? Help? Like?
That was very helpful. Yeah, I took a lot of good notes on there, especially on the cash flow statement.
Yeah, the only thing that matters, again, operating cash, man. Absolutely critical.
It's really helpful.
Okay.
Man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, man. Okay, awesome. I got to move along. I'll try not to go so in depth for the other folks, guys, because I want to try and, let's see here. Where are you? Let's put them on mute. Oh, we got them on mute.
Carl?
Yep.
We got a great question from, I think it's pronounced Galam or Galami. Please
Can you open
him up if I'm mispronouncing that, but let me open him up real quick. Whoops, hang on a minute. Door's jumping. Galami, I think you're self-muted. Can you unmute for us? You had a great question for Carl. Last name, I can't even pronounce it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So my question was, I've been doing some kind of training for the past few months. Like, for example, you mentioned like the financial and this stuff. I got a great overview of that, and I know about all this stuff. But I'm just starting, so I was wondering, what kind of companies I might want to focus on since I'm new in this industry. Is there type of companies or industries or size of companies that I might want to focus on?
Okay, beautiful. I'll just tell you this. First of all, I got a couple questions for you here to help you get through this. But number one, 96% of businesses don't hit $1 million in gross revenues. So what you really want to be thinking about is helping people get to $1 million. The conversation that they have in their head is that, I really want to hit $1 million. When you really understand what I just described, like accounting, small business finance, and how to build a profitable business, you'll know that that's a horrific goal, because you could do $1 million a year and lose 80 grand. You could do $1 million a year in gross revenues and make 60, but you could do $500,000 in gross revenue and have $250,000 of profit and really good cash flow. What business do you really want to own, right? So you see that the conversation in their head and the goal that they have got is normally not a very good one. So as a good coach, you want to be able to try and steer them away from that. But that being said, I can tell you that you're probably going to want to start with companies that are trying to get to $1 million, because again, that's 96% of the market. And then what you should think about as far as three questions: what are you passionate about? What are you good at? What's your expertise? And then what do you have experience in? So if you go to those three, you'll find that you might be a car buff. So tell me, when I ask those questions, what are you passionate about? What are you good at? What do you have experience in? What would you say back to me? What kind of businesses have you worked for and whatnot?
Yes, well, I have a background in technology and computers and software. So something that's somehow related to that, of course, might be easier for me. I'm pretty good with the numbers and the processes and things like that, and maybe the financials a little bit. And so that would be
but real simple. So you've got experience. Are you passionate about it? Do you like IT? Do you like computers? Is it a passion as well?
Yes, of course.
Yep. So, okay. Well, we just worked it out. You want to be going to, and which, by the way, is pretty broad stroke. You could, you can really get granular there and, niche very much within IT and computers. So I would go there. I got a question for you. Is IT on the rise? Is it stagnant, or is it on the decline?
Well, on the rise.
Yes. Okay. Is that a good thing or a bad thing if you're looking for clients?
I would say that's a good thing, because I can help them grow their businesses.
Yeah, 100%. So here's what you want to be thinking about. So I lived in Australia for a long time, and I can surf. I'm a horrific surfer, but I can surf. Okay. There's one thing required. I could be a world champion surfer, or a bad novice like I am. There's one thing that's absolutely mandatory. It's called a wave. Okay. You put Kelly Slater, who was the world champion for a long time surfing, you put him in the ocean without waves, guess what? He's laying on a surfboard. What I mean by that is the wave gets you to shore. It's the same thing. When you go into a niche, for everybody listening, I would use anti-aging as an example. Okay. No doubt that we have an aging population. If you went into, if you started going to anti-aging type clients and you took that on as your niche and the category that you were interested in, you could be the worst business coach. And there's going to be nothing but clients, out there. And then there's going to be more in the future. And the big problem that they have is that they're so busy, they can't keep up a lot of the time. So instead of having to coach them around lead generation, leads, which the most expensive function of any business is to get a new customer. Now you can go in and help them with putting together, systems and processes and, step-by-step roadmap on how to grow their business and control the growth. That makes sense. So that's why I like the idea of IT, because again, it's growing like crazy. Make sense?
Yes, makes sense. I appreciate it.
Cool. So does that help? So what do you think? IT companies for you? Computer companies?
Yes, actually, I was already in talk with one company that does IT support for small businesses. So that's what I might want to look. Actually, like you said, I'm still focusing on other companies and that type of business.
Beautiful. Okay, good stuff. Great question. Thanks so much. And put you back on mute. Adrian, can we do you got another one for me, buddy?
Got another one. Pete O'Sullivan. Let's see if we can get Pete unmuted here. He had a great question as well. Pete, you there?
Hello. Yep.
Yo, Pete.
Hi, Carl. The question I've got is, if you were setting up a brand new business coach from scratch, obviously with the current climate with the pandemic, what single service and offer would you provide to to local small businesses, and what cold approach would you use?
Yeah, good question. You must be a coach, Pete. Damn, that's a good question, man.
Yeah.
So what would I look, first of all, okay, so we train our coaches on how to find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. Again, if you're looking at my screen right now, you're going to see the exact, like if I were to take on a client, these are the exact 12 areas that I would go to basically put money into a bank account to ensure that, they were profitable, et cetera, et cetera. So yep. I would get really good at that pitch. I would get really good at that deliverable. Remember, because the solution is always becoming the best. And if you're new to coaching, again, it's fair to say that, you just got to accept the fact that you're not going to be, you're going to start, you don't come out of your mom's womb, right? As the best business coach in the city, the state, or the country. But, I believe that you need to make that your game plan, right? So make sure we don't make our game plan just to generate leads. Let's make sure we make our game plan to make sure that we can help the business owners, right? So yeah. I would get really good at that process, finding my $100,000 in 45 minutes without spending a dollar on marketing or advertising. And if you're not working with us, then what that looks like is you being able to sit with a business owner and find them money before you get started. Okay, so I get good at that. Now what I would do is I would open up the old school yellow pages. I would go to our friend Google. I would go walk around the streets, and what I'm looking for is B2B businesses, accountant, bookkeeper, networking organization, anybody going B2B, the digital marketer, the online directory, what have you. In fact, your best 5 joint venture partners will be accountants, business brokers, networking organizations, advertising salespeople, and chambers. You can take that one to the bank. So I would start there, but anybody going B2B can be perfect, right? And then I would go to, again, let's just call it the accountant, which the accountant can be very difficult to close and get on the phone because, again, just the analytical nature, that they have in order to become an accountant. But if you do get in there, no doubt you could see it could be a home run. So what you do is you go to the accountant, you put a value proposition like that to them. Like, look, I can find your client $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. If you say that with some mojo, it's very hard for the accountant or any business owner not to lift their eyebrows and go, wow, like holy smokes, right? And then basically now, very importantly, I say to the accountant, to the joint venture partner, in fact, you know what, if Jim Jones is on here, Adrian, have a look for Jim Jones if you could, he might be there. Anyway, so Jim Jones, one of our clients, he's got a Harvard degree. Just so cut a long story short, we both ended up on the phone with a joint venture partner, and I basically ran him through that exact process, and the jaw literally just dropped, right, where the guy was frothing at the mouth, and it was just a little bit of a lay down. But the bottom line is that you put that value proposition in front of somebody, and they can then put it to their audience, because it really comes back to, and I talk about this all the time, don't look for ideas, look for problems. And then when you identify a problem, you solve it. And the quicker you can solve it, the easier you can solve it. The more people that have that problem that you can solve, the bigger the potential for your company becomes, or your client's company becomes. What I'm saying there and where I'm going is that when I sit with the accountant, I don't want to come to them with ideas. I want to come to them with, hey, what's your problem? And then I want to solve it. And then I can tell you that the accountant's biggest problem is that people, business owners come to them. They work with them for 12 months. They come to see them once a year. That is 3 months after the year is over. They want everything done yesterday. Everything's a rush. They want to pay as little tax as possible. They want to email them 3 times a day and phone them, every second day to see if it's done, right? Drive them nuts. Accountants refer to this as tax season. And you can imagine it literally ages them. So I say to the accountant, and I was saying Jim Jones, this was part of where the light bulb went off. I said, look, don't send me every person you've ever met. I want you to take me for a test drive. Steal those, everybody listening, you Pete and everybody listening, test drive, steal it. Okay, so basically what I want to do is take me for a test drive. Send me 3 clients and only 3 clients. Let me prove to you how good I am. With the 3 clients that I work with, I will personally guarantee that they will come to see you 4 times a year at a minimum, more likely 10 to 12 times, as in every single month. And the 3 clients that I work with will not be part of that tax season and that dog's breakfast that you put up with every year. And he's like, really? Okay, well, now and say, don't send me your best. Don't send me your worst. Just send me 3 guys and see if I can help them. Well, they send you 3 folks. You deliver. Guess what do you think he's going to want to do with his other 300 clients? But the magic, Pete, it's the test drive approach, right? Everybody, we sign a deal with the accountant. It's like, how many clients do you got? 400? Hey, let's invite them all to my webinar. Let's all, invite them all to my live event. It's too much for the accountant to get his head around. So much like when we go buy a car, what do? We take it for a test drive, and they're familiar with that and they're comfortable with it. Use that. But that is what I would do if I was a brand new coach with 100% certainty. I would get out there, and then I would pick up the phone. And I would just speak to some business owners, and I would just, again, say, look, I'm going to get you 100, I can find you 100 grand in 45 minutes without you spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. You're going to have to call 10 to get 2 that are interested. And then I would walk through the process, and I would get really good at it. And yes, I would just flat out cold call them. And part of the reason why I cold call is that in order to, when you start cold calling, what's going to happen is you're going to become a very talented salesperson at the end of 90 days, because the same way you get them from the cold call to the appointment is very similar to the way you get them from the appointment to the $2,000 a month coach. But that's what I would do. And I would just be careful not to fall into lead generation, fall into become the absolute best. Actually, Pete, if I may, here's another bit of advice for that, which I think is going to be very valuable for somebody just starting out and asking this question. Okay, come up with a niche like we did a minute ago, right? So we came up with IT, or come up with restaurants as an example, okay? I go, write down 50 ways that you would help a restaurant, but not strategy, big picture. I want tactical steps. Like you're going to put on every single table, going forward, you're going to see that as advertising, and you're going to put, you're going to advertise your most expensive drink, or you're going to advertise your, the meal that you've got the highest margin on, but every table is going to have advertising. So really tactical money-making steps you're going to write down on a piece of paper. When they write down 50 ways to help a restaurant, guess what happens the next day? They can't wait to phone the restaurant. Why? Because they've got confidence, right? They know that, if any restaurant takes their call, how am I not going to change this person's existence? My gosh, right? So anyways, I hope what do you think? Any further questions?
Yeah, that's fantastic, Carl. One thing I'd ask is, how do you normally structure the deal with the accountant? What's your approach? Is there some kind of a split on revenue?
Yes. Okay. The way you structure it is when I go to see my accountant 12 times a year instead of once a year, guess what? I spend a lot more, correct?
Yeah. And you're pushing the revenue up for the clients anyway, which means more annual revenue.
I solve his problem, right? That being said, some other, again, 25-75 is probably 20%, 25%, or you could do as little as 10, but I got to tell you, don't be surprised when you don't get another, you don't get the call back.
You don't want to penny pinch all of that, do you?
Yeah, you're going to the digital marketer, the advertising salespeople, what have you. Again, the accountant, they can get a little bit funky with that. But again, understand that, you can get these joint ventures done. What you do is solve their problem, and the accountant, when you solve their problem, as the byproduct of that, he ends up charging significantly more for his client. So that's the way I approach it.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Carl. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, buddy. No worries. Adrian, put Pete back on mute.
Chuck has a question for you on the financials you were just discussing. Wes, can you unmute for us? Wes Kovalchuk, can you unmute? There you are.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing?
Hey. Good, buddy. How's it going, man?
Good. Just cranking it out. I had a quick question. In addition to the 3 financial documents, would you want to add budgeting and cash flow forecasting to that as well? Or would you not want that deep into it?
Well, no. Okay, I would. Okay, what I would do is I would just have a look at your screen here for a sec. Very importantly, remember, here's the question. Wes, everybody's asking, starting with your clients, Wes, what do I do? Right? They're asking for a roadmap. And you got to go back to them and say, well, if you tell me what you want, I can tell you what to do. So my concern with that is, look, the answer is absolutely, right? The more the more data, just, the number one commodity on the planet is data. The most important information in the company is data. So the more data we've got, the better off we are. Okay, but where's the red, what's the red flag? What's the concern is we get them, you allow them to get stuck on spreadsheets, and then guess what they do? They sit there all day and night playing with their spreadsheets, right? So remember my example, you got a company, they did $1 million last year and they made 80, lost 80. And then we get another company that did 500,000 and was highly profitable. So I would say to them, and the metaphor that I love that I use a lot, it's like Kobe Bryant, at the age of 15 knew that he wanted to be the greatest basketball player on the planet, right? The end. You watch interview after interview where that's who he was. People thought he was an arrogant dick and this, that, whatever it was, but he wanted to be the best. Well, so if you were Kobe Bryant, tell me, do you train 3 times a day or once a day? Right? 3 times, correct?
Yeah.
If you're Kobe Bryant, do you eat broccoli or do you eat chocolate? If you're Kobe Bryant, it's 2 hours before you got to leave for the game. Do you start a fight with your wife over the trash, or do you just take the trash out?
Yeah, no,
right? You follow me? So, okay, when so the magic of that is that when you know definitively what you want, I refer to it as the Uber metaphor, right? Uber built a $150 billion company with 2 questions. Where are you? Where do you want to go? So when you're really clear with your client as to what they want, there's probably a pretty good chance that playing around with spreadsheets right in this current moment in time might not be the best place to go. But to kind of, but let's accept that we want to move towards that. But remember, one of the problems we have as coaches is if you get too strategic too quick, what happens is you run out of runway and your plane crashes and that you lose the coaching client. So I often talk about, like, in the first 90 days when I'm working with somebody, I don't get strategy eats tactic for lunch. Everybody listening to this knows that, right? But tactic pays, like profit, money, cash pays the bills. So for the first 30 to 90 days, and every situation is somewhat unique, I like to get real tactical, right? So in other words, put money in bank. Think upsell, think downsell, think cross-sell, think upfront offer. So Wes, I hope so. The answer is absolutely. But I wouldn't answer that until I know what they want. And then thinking about their resources. Do they have staff, that are in place, that can run with it so that he can sit and play with spreadsheets in his office, that sort of thing. Does that help? You follow? You agree?
He's not there yet, and I follow you. I'm thinking about one client in particular right now this morning. And he's not quite there yet, but I do understand he needs to work that way. So I kind of just wanted to ask the question just to find out if we need to just sit down and focus on the 3 documents that he needs to understand how to run his business with and make decisions with. And then let's get money in the door, and then we can start playing around with the budgets and the forecasting later at a later date. Once we develop the organizational structure and plan for growth. But that's a whole other question.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, like I said, I think again, you got to understand, just like what do I do? And then you start with what do you want? And then everything becomes, when you really, and don't just expect to ask that question and get a good answer, right? Like you got to kind of dig deep a little bit, continue to ask it a little bit and continue to get them to, revisit it. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, wow. Okay. Something that they wanted, they got 3 kids under the age of 10, pretty obvious that, 70 hours at the office might be something they'll self-sabotage, right? Follow?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, Wes, thanks, man. Appreciate the question. Appreciate you, bud. Good job.
Thanks, Carl.
No worries, man. Adrian, you got something else for me, buddy?
Yep, we're going to Mark Rosenberger, Carl. Mark, if you can unmute, there you go.
Hey, good stuff, Carl. High five. You're on a roll. So
thanks, buddy.
Here's my burning question is we've been proactively going after chambers. We created an adorable little attention-getting video that kind of details find your members $100,000. It seems to get conversations going, but I keep hearing hey, we use the services of our members, want to join? And it's like, wait, I can offer you so much more than a couple hundred of my bucks. Wait, how do I bust that resistance?
How do you, okay, love it. The answer is you don't. It's not dissimilar to my waves metaphor when I'm surfing. See, the problem with chambers is it's red tape, nonprofit. Often the chairman of the board is a business coach or has a competing service to you. If you can get into one chamber and you're there and get a good relationship, they got 1,000 members and you can really crush it. Spend some time on that. But to think that you're going to go to, chambers as a market, it's like your ideal JV partner. If you took that same time and energy and focus and you put it on the magazine, the newspaper, the digital marketer, the business broker, the accountants, the bookkeepers, etc., you'd get 100 miles. You get so much further quicker. So that's what I'd answer to that. You're not going to get around it. It's just typical, red tape, nonprofit kind of stuff. So that's my answer. And by the way, but when they do, if you feel like there's an opportunity and there's a match there, like how much are they really charging, right? Because actually, you know what? Here's the way I got to answer this too. So this is important. Okay. So how have I had success with chambers? Okay. I don't go to it's not that I haven't gone to the chairman of the board, because again, done that, but I got to tell you, that's not where the success of the magic has been for me. I go to the gal or the guy who sells the memberships, the one in the coalface. Okay. And I build a relationship with them. And some people are going to listen to this and be comfortable with it. Some people are going to listen to this and hate it and, not want to do it. That's up to you. Go for either, right? This is your business. You follow the roadmap. Here's the way I did it. And I made, countless sales doing this. When I say countless, that's not dozens, that's hundreds. Here's what we do. We go to the gal who's selling the memberships at the chamber. Okay, how much do you think, if you were to guess, how much is the gal at the chamber making per year? What would you guess her salary is?
30 grand at most, maybe?
Yeah, 30, you'd be very close at 30 grand. If she goes to 7-Eleven, buys a lottery ticket, and wins $1,000, how many people does she call? Like everybody? Put it straight on Facebook?
Yep.
Okay. So I go to her, I build a relationship. You've got to be careful with this one. Like you need to do this. Think of it as a process, right? Think strategy, not getting overly tactical. But I build a relationship with her. I help her. I help her with sales and memberships at the chamber and some of the things that I would do and that I would think about and that I would talk about, and tell me what is the biggest hurdle you see with your clients. And she's going to say, oh, they're constantly, they suck at marketing and they're always asking me marketing advice, etc. So I build a relationship with her. I would normally, take her to lunch. Be careful. You don't want to look like you're hitting on her. Again, you got to play all this stuff with, just got to be strategic here. But I get her offsite and I just say, look, call her Lucy. Lucy, here's what I do. I pay $1,000 referral fee. I could pay it to the chamber, but I could really pay it to you. You're the one that I have the relationship with. You may or may not be comfortable with this, but I've done it, a ton of times all over the country. If you are interested, and no one will ever find out that I do this, and I only want you to do it if you're comfortable. But if you've got a business owner that is asking you questions about marketing or scrambling or, struggling to pay your fees and whatever that looks like, you feel like they could use a little bit of help, I want you to send them my way. I'll sit down with them, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to walk them through this process. In our world, going to find them 100 grand in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar in marketing or advertising. Anybody you refer to me will get that process for free. And again, my software's got 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences. So I'll populate a roadmap that whether they pay me or not, they will have a roadmap to walk through for the 12 months. So if you do that, anybody you send to me, and then at the end of that, I'm going to offer for them to work with me. Some will and some won't, and I'm okay with either. But if they decide to work with me, I'm going to pay you $1,000 per person. Okay, you send me 10, it'll be 10 grand. And then I'm staring right at her face. 7% of communication is verbal, right? So her body language will tell me more. And I well and truly know the answer long before I ask this question. But then I ask her, and then I say, so, what do you think? And then she gives me a positive. She's never going to say, yes, let's do it. Normally it's, gee, okay. And I say, look, Lucy, here's what I want to do. I want to pay you up front for the first referral. Here's $1,000. And I pull $1,000 out of my pocket. I slide it across the table and say, there you go. You're amazing. So that's what I do. I build the relationship with the gal at selling the memberships. Now, how I got off on that, you were talking about going and then they're all saying, hey, we deal with people who buy memberships. Well, Lucy sells memberships, but how much are the memberships? They're like, 500, 700, they're $1,000. Right? Well, pay it. right? And then just now you just got yourself an appointment with Lucy. And again, and then the other question is, okay, well, Karl, you paid that grand up front. Did she ever not send people? And the answer is absolutely. But if I do it 10 times, 7 send clients, 3 don't, do your math, and then you tell me if I should just do it another, should I bitch and moan about the 3 that I got screwed on, or should I just find another 10 to do it again? And the answer is pretty obvious. Now, and as I use that example, go to the guy selling advertising, the accountant that works for the accountant, et cetera. Just go to them. And again, the difference when I go to 7-Eleven and I buy bread and milk, I don't say to the guy, look, I'm going to take it home, feed my kids. If they like the bread, they like the milk, I'll come back tomorrow and pay, right? They laugh at you. No, I go to 7-Eleven and I whip my card out and I whip my cash out and I buy it. And then I go home. So what I refer to, what I just described, is what I call buying coaching clients, right? So I literally buy them. And the strike rate is incredible. And again, there's people listening. They're like, oh, that feels a little bit whatever. Hey, then don't do it. But I can tell you that I have signed up countless people with exactly that. So what do you think? Hey, what do you think?
It confirms my suspicion about my energy on Chambers and gives me some better ideas on where to put my focus and how to play the game. And I love it. Thank you.
Boom. Awesome. Okay, cool. We're going to put you back on mute. Great question, by the way. We're getting some great questions. Who do we got
next
there?
up is Aaron Hale. Aaron, if you can unmute, there we go.
Aaron Hale, fire away.
Aaron, I think you just muted yourself again. Can you unmute?
Oh, you there?
There you are.
Yes. Sorry. So the accountant strategy I've been looking at, and when I saw it, I thought that was absolutely amazing. That there's just so many things that they would really struggle to say no to, especially considering how many of their clients saw them as a commodity. But I'm finding now we've gone through lockdown, and a lot of them have earned a lot of they're in really high favor with their clients just because they really carried them through the pandemic and they really looked after them. And there was, obviously not all accountants, some pulled their phone out of the wall completely. But so whereas that was a really good strategy pre-lockdown, I'm getting a little bit more pushback now in terms of that's not really what their problem is anymore. So I'm just wondering how you see their problem.
I love it. Okay, what I would do, and again, every situation, there's a lot of gray stuff we're talking about. It's not so much black and white, but the conversation going on inside the head of the accountant's clients are, how do I come back post-pandemic? I think you're in Australia, right?
I'm based in London.
Where, sorry?
Based in London.
Oh, cool. Oh, lucky duck, cool. So, but bottom line is that the client said, what do you do? I would go to the accountant and say, look, I'd like to run a presentation. Again, take me for a test drive. I know you got 1,000 clients. Let's just put it out to, let's try put 10 bums in seats and see what they think. And I'd like to see what you think, but let me do a presentation for all your clients on how I'd come back post-pandemic. And I think you're going to find that the accountant's going to go for that.
Yep.
What do you think? Or do you agree? What do you think?
Yeah. But in terms of, so before it was, okay, my clients are only seeing me once every year before tax. And then we're saying, look, we'll get them coming back to see you more regularly. Potentially because they've been really there for their clients and they've been back in, they probably had a lot more contact with their clients as well. Are we thinking that they probably don't do a very good job of selling themselves in order to get in there more often? And then that's where we can fulfill that need for them. So I'm just trying to think of what's that thing that's keeping them awake at night that we can really sort of hit apart from. Yeah. So obviously for the clients, it's
okay. Different. Okay, got it. Let me help you with that one. I can just tell you, okay, business is just math, right? You follow my emails, you see whenever I write math, I don't think I've done it for a little bit, but I've done it lots in the past and I'll do it in the future. I always capitalize math because that's just what business is. So basically, like let's say you've got an accounting firm and one charges 25 grand and then the other one, they got a $25,000 program and the other accountant has a $2,500 program. Which one's going to be more successful? And no doubt, like with what I mean? We don't need to pull out the calculators to work out which business is going to be easier. And think of my example earlier. Do you want to have $1 million company making 80 grand, or do you want to have a $500,000 company making 50%, right? 50% profits? So a conversation in the head of the accountant pretty much always is that they do free consulting and it drives them crazy. And really, the problem is that their clients need a higher level. Their clients don't need tax returns. Their clients need what I described earlier. Like they need proper financial, financials and documentation. So, and then what they need to do, and if you could be like like an accountant, literally 1 year out of school, and you could look at a set of financials when you really understand them and help them. Let me give you an example. Like when you look at accounts receivable, you'll see that it's like the way I wrote it earlier. It's accounts receivable is a line item that lies on a balance sheet. Okay.
Yep.
What accounts receivable needs to be is basically an itemized list of people. So like, let's say your client's accounts receivable is $100,000. And let's say he's got exactly 10 clients that owe exactly 10 grand each, right? Obviously that wouldn't be the case, but you get the idea. Well, when I look at it, I want to look at an itemized list. And then I also need to understand how many are 30, how many are 60, how many are 90, 120 and beyond. So what we now need to do is we need to stop everything, most definitely not do Facebook advertising, because the guy that I'm describing probably will tell you, I've got this profitable company, because you'll see accounts receivable lives on assets, right? So it makes your company look profitable, but you haven't got the cash. So what they'll say is, I got a profitable company and I got no cash. Well, real simple, man. We just take your accounts receivable, click the button, itemize it, and we're going to go, here's your cash. Here's who's got it. And by the way, these three guys went out of business. You're not collecting it. So you got to write that off as a bad debt. Otherwise, not only are you not collecting the money, but you're going to pay tax on that money because you pay tax on your profit, right? So anyway, what am I getting at? Any accountant can look at your financials and see holes. Like another really good one is cost of goods sold and inventory, right? Like it's cost of goods sold or inventory. It's not both. Like cost of goods sold becomes inventory. If there's too much of a gap between cost of goods sold and inventory, it's called wastage. And this is where you're lighting money on fire. Think of a restaurant that's not managing their inventory very well, and they're throwing out the lettuce, they're throwing out the tomatoes, etc. Right? Well, a restaurant that has that problem is lighting money on fire. And then the solution they come up with is to freeze everything. So now their clients come and then they go, yeah, like the place sucks, right? Like the food was terrible. So that's not a solution either. They need to be able to manage the stuff better. What I'm getting at is the accountant should have a $25,000 program where they don't provide tax returns. They basically get involved with their clients and help them at a higher level. In a nutshell, what I'm getting at is you could participate in that in a very real and tangible way. Like if you introduce me to the accountant, I can tell you with 80% predictability, they don't have a consulting division. And if they created one with you, probably in 12 months, if they've got some mojo, but within 3 years, it will be the most profitable part of their business. See, part of the magic of consulting is that we have like 70, 80% margins. Right? There's not many other industries, like so many deliverables in the world where you got the kind of margins that we play with. So that's what I would say is that, let's go to them. A conversation in their head is, how do I start charging 25 grand instead of 2,500? And then the conversation in their head, yeah, but I'm a nerd and I got these thick glasses and I can't talk to people. I don't have the personality. That's for the other guys at Deloitte and whatnot. You basically partner with them in some way to kind of help them build that division. How do you get that going? Take me for a test drive, right? You let the relationship evolve. What do you think? Does that help?
Yeah, so that they're essentially outsourcing the face and the personality that they wish that they had in their business, kind of.
Exactly. And that's you. You know what I mean? But now it's not 3 clients. We're going to be talking 30 and potentially 300, right? And again, you're going to build a profit sharing relationship where just call it 50-50 for the sake of the argument. You charge 24 grand a year. He's getting 12. You're getting 12, but you're doing all the work. So this is something else. But but very importantly, tactically, if you get too strategic with that, if you get too high level, you'll freak the accountants out and you'll never return your calls. You got to go to them and let's just take me for a test drive. Maybe I'm the smartest guy you ever met. Maybe I'm a charlatan. Tell you what, send me not your 3 best, not your 3 worst. Send me 3 in the middle and let's go. So, help?
Amazing. Good stuff. Thank you.
Awesome, buddy. No problem, man. Good luck. Crush it. Hanging out in London. Okay. What else we got here, Adrian? We're a little bit over the hour, but that's cool.
Yeah, I think we got time for one more, and it's Allison McLeod. And let's see if we can get Allison unmuted here.
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Yo, Allison, you said you were going to have a question, and you didn't let us down. Good job.
Well, I think I'd like to know, what would a coach need to do to be a six-figure success with self-discipline and conditioning?
Ooh, you must be a coach. Another good question. See, Adrian, we open up coaches and we get damn good questions. What do I say? Look, you got it. Look, the answer is you got to look. I was expecting to answer a question along these lines, so I'll do it here. Like, don't do what you love. You got to love what you do, right? So if we get too enamored with the destination, and let's call the destination of your question, I think would be six figures, which is $100,000. Very important. I tell you this, I meet people all the time and they tell me they want to make $1 million, and then I play stupid, right? And I go, oh, so sorry, what is that per month? You know what I mean? And then they never give me the answer, right? And it's $83,333.33 a month, right? If they haven't taken the time to reverse engineer, $1 million, they're probably never going to get there. So, so if you want to make six figures, that's $100,000. That's $8,333 a month. So you got to reverse engineer that number and understand what exactly does that look like, right? Easy math. Let's just say you're going to charge $833. You know what I mean? You just need to reverse engineer the numbers to say, okay, well, I need 10 clients at roughly 800 to hit that goal, right? Okay. But what I really want to do and answer is that I really want you to fall in love with the journey, right? I want you to fall in love with the process. And I know that sounds a little bit platitudinal, a little bit fluffy for, the way I normally answer stuff, but I really believe that. I want you to fall in love with waking up and then answer, like phoning, cold calling. I want you to fall in love with picking up the phone. I don't want to talk about Facebook ads or anything like that. I want every business coach to fall in love with picking up the phone for 3 business owners every single day. And if they don't answer, that doesn't count. Only when you get a business owner on the phone, which can be hard. It can take you, a decent proportion of the day to get 3 business owners on the phone. And I want you to ask them, similar to this, I'll solve any problem, business coaching problem, just lay it on me. I want you to put them on the phone and just understand their problems and then solve them. If you did that for 3 business owners every single day and fell in love with it, I promise you at the end of 12 months, you won't have a 6-figure coaching business. You will have a $500,000 coaching business and beyond. And remember, 500, if you have 20 clients at $2,000 a month, that's $480,000 a year. And, you can handle that, on your own with one other staff member, 70, 80% margins. You're doing real well. Your lifestyle would be amazing. And you got 20 clients. So that's the discipline. That's what don't do what you love what you do. And then what do? Solve business owners' problems 3 times. Yes, 3 business owners' problems every single day. That's my answer. Do you like?
I like. Keeps it simple and tells us exactly what we need to do. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's it. Actually, I wanted just one other thing that I would say though also, and I said it earlier, but I think it's important. Again, don't be the number 1 lead generator of coaching services. Be the number 1 coach, right? So again, if you look at your screen, you'll see basically built profit acceleration software for this exact reason, right? So that basically, if you want to go and really solve somebody's problem, which by the way, with, more often than not, it revolves around them earning more money. And if they do that with less, they want to have more time to themselves, but then they're not willing to go cash in the BMW, right? So again, what you got to do is be able to help them make more money. And then how would I go about doing that? Well, you're looking at it right here, profit acceleration software. So, and Allison, I know you're very familiar with this. Are you not?
Yeah, I am. I will plug that in.
Cool. So there you go. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. Awesome question. I want everybody just to take that. Again, fall in love with the process, guys, not the destination. Absolutely critical. Okay, guys. So look, plan for an hour. This is the reason why I'm doing this for 4 weeks, but I want to honor everybody. You guys have brought some awesome questions. We kind of started off with a flyer there, and then it only went up from there. So make sure you come next week with some questions. By the way, some of you guys are clients and many of you are not. Do me a favor, guys. If you want to get together, do it. You've been staring at profit acceleration software and digital acceleration software for this entire time. If you guys are interested in getting together, I want you to do me a favor. That says coaching. My pen, I'm not the, I got to practice with this pen a little bit better. Now.com. So that says coaching clients now.com. And I want you to grab a spot on the calendar. I know a lot of you guys have been private message this as we've been going along, but I want you guys to go to coachingclientsnow.com if you want to take a guided tour around profit acceleration software and have someone explain how that can work with and for you. Okay, so coachingclientsnow.com. Again, Adrian, you read that, buddy?
Yep, I'm going to send it to everybody in the chat.
Okay, cool. Yeah, please do that. Okay, cool. So look, there we go, guys. Some great questions. Real quick before we go. There we go. The recording will be available, guys, and anybody listening to this, well, I guess you've probably worked it out by now, but you probably want to do this via video. You can go to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to get this. It's just, I believe it's Karl F. Bryan, but you can search me on YouTube. Hopefully that should come up pretty well. I got a horrific YouTube channel, so be prepared when you get there to see a whole lot of very small amount of views, but that's just the way she goes. It's not what I spend my time on. We do the podcast, we do the magazine, etc. But anyway, so if you want to be able to view this, go to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to see it as what, not only just hear it. So anyways, guys, Adrian, thanks so much for being here, man. You're a legend. You're my brother. Always appreciate you, dude. For all of our legendary coaches, we appreciate you guys. So maybe, Adrian, I'm going to give you the final word here, man. What do you think? Anything to say to our legendary folks before we let them go?
Nope, the whole key, gang, is activity. Get out there and keep your nose to the grindstone. Keep talking to people, and that's how you get results, is through activity.
Awesome. Thanks so much, buddy. Appreciate everybody. We will see you next week. Adios, folks.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.